Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rangy Stella and I'm so excited for the reactions that I got for my past videos. Of course, I had asked you that, you know what, reach out to me in case you have a few questions here and there. And of course, I appreciate all the questions that I was able to get. And those are some of the things I'm going to tackle in this very short video, but I just wanted to show you that I'm responding. I'm seeing your responses. I see you and I appreciate you a lot. Once again, my home is Halo Hotel in Lubowa along Entebbe Road. So on Sundays, if you want to spend time with your family and you've just been looking for just the place, this could be it. And guess what I just found out? They have platters. Yes, so if you're friends and you're hanging out and you want something to have, this could actually be a place you consider. Now, getting into some of your reactions, I talked about the language in Moscow and how it's very important to learn it. So someone asked me, Stella, did you learn anything? How come you haven't spoken any Russian? Well, when you ask, you shall receive. So I learned first of all, I was there for a very short time. That is my excuse. But I learned about 3 things. Yeah. So number 1, I learned how to say thank you. And that is spasiba. Yes. Like spa, si, and ba. Yeah. So spasiba is thank you. So that's one thing I learned. I learned to say no. That's niet, and yes, which is da. Right? I feel like at this point I should just be a Russian teacher of a sort because it's just working. Yeah, so those are some of the things that I learned. So the person who was asking, and I must say though that the language is kind of complex because even their own alphabet, yeah, it's not just as straightforward. And of course, because we are so used to this one, the ABCs, so the other one could be a little bit tricky. I believe C is their S, something like that, because I remember on my own visa, it had a C on it for my name Stella. So yeah, those are some of the things that was asked. And then the other thing was about the opportunities there. What other opportunities that someone can venture into while in Moscow? Now, once again, I wasn't there for quite a long time. I was just there for over a week. So that's not much time to explore. But the one thing that I saw, students, education is one of those big things that you can actually get, that can get you into the door. Yeah, that can be your introduction into Russia and Moscow as a whole. So apparently, Uganda gets yearly, there are a number of scholarships that come through from Russia. So that is something for you to explore. Yeah. So that would be the way that you get into the door. And of course, they give a range of scholarships. It's not only for the science-based courses, but also I remember when I was still there, they got the Ugandan community there, got to celebrate the independence. And I remember I met a few students there who are doing different things. There's someone who's doing, I think, human resource. And then another one was doing something I want to study, which is international relations. So you see that there's a place for each and everyone. And by the way, speaking of that whole party, when I was in Moscow, when the Ugandan community there was celebrating the independence, guess what? Ugandans were actually very few. Yeah, very, very few. But all throughout Africa, there are very many students. There are students from Nigeria. I remember I met someone from Malawi, and then I met someone from which other country? I remember there was another country that was so common. So different countries within Africa have actually exploited some of those scholarships. And in Uganda, you have to check it out, probably with the Ministry of Education. I'm not so certain, to see what opportunities are there. But once you get there, I believe more doors can really open for you. Like I say, the biggest thing, if you are to thrive or be part and work in that country, you have to learn the language. There is no shortcut for that. And also I've seen that they take more of teachers, just like China. It could be more of teachers and education purposes, that those are the opportunities you could tap into. Now, this other one is really not a question, but something that I have seen recurring on people who travel a lot. I wanted to talk about anxiety when it comes to travel. Yeah, the anxiety that comes before and the anxiety that comes after the tour when you are returning home. I know, I don't know if you who is watching me right now, you've experienced this, but I remember I was talking to a friend of mine who was coming from his getaway to Kalangala. It was just a weekend getaway, and was telling me, oh my God, I'm dreading going back. And I'm like, you know what, that is exactly how I felt. Now, I mentioned in my previous videos that I did not say much. I didn't tell so many people about my travel plans. No. But even with that, I really I had different anxieties because, first of all, it was my first time on a plane, then first time in Europe, first time far from home. So I had different anxieties. And even I remember when I was on the plane, one of the things that came to me, I was like, whoa, I'm over 30,000 feet off the ground and anything could happen. It feels like it's just me and my God in the sky. I wonder if I died right now, would they even find me? Would my parents even have closure? And so some of those things, it could be maybe something else. Maybe you have different fears, and like your anxiety is coming from a certain fear you have, maybe of the plane or of a bad experience with turbulence. Oh, speaking of turbulence, now that was the other thing. I was lucky enough that for all those times, all the flights that I took, there wasn't too much or too bad turbulence that we experienced. But there are moments here and there, especially during my return flight. That one, I felt it. It was quite something. And each time, you know, I could just hold onto the seat. I'm like, oh my goodness. It's like even going, like landing. Landing is also another thing. You feel something in your tummy just turning and you're like, my goodness. So all those anxieties that may arise from those experiences, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I'm not a professional in regards to such disorders or things like that, but I just wanted to give you some of the things that I have used personally to be able to take me through. Number one, you see this book here? I write a lot. I write a lot about what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm planning. I write a lot. I specifically picked this book because of its look. Like, I just wanted something that encourages me, not too depressing. But you see, in this book, I went ahead and wrote, before I traveled, I wrote down what my expectations for the trip were. And the more that I wrote that, it brought more of excitement than anxiety. Everything about probably leaving, or I'll be away from my family, or I'll be away from this and that, like all that toned down when I started writing my expectations. And also, this is something that I did not do, but it's something that everyone ought to do if you are to travel. Read about where you are going. One of the anxieties, of course, that I faced was because we had the unsettlement that is going on between Russia and Ukraine. And because I knew there are people surviving there, that also helped me to be calm about it. But the biggest thing for me was, oh my God, what if I'm there and then they're attacked and things like that. So when the way for me to tone it down, I told myself, hey, this is your first time on a plane, right? It's a big deal. So because it's a big deal, there is nothing that is going to make us feel less than. So that helped me. So number one, like I said, write down your expectations. Write down everything that you look up for, you hope for on that trip. Write it down. It will excite you. Number two, read about where you are going. Get all the information that you can get. You see, knowledge is power. The more you will learn about wherever you're going, it will give you more of a realistic feel, a realistic expectation kind of thing. So that way you are not operating on who said what, on a gray line. No, you will be operating on either black or white, because you will know, hey, this is what happens. And the research, the more you make research, that can be your conversation points when you get into that particular destination. When you get on the plane, when you get into the cab, when you get to the airport, that can be where you start from. Hey, I've read that in Moscow, ABCD happens. Is that the case? And that can be your conversation point. So once you know, you'll be more confident to be able to go for that trip. So that is something else that helped me. But the other thing that can help you ongoing, we are first talking about the anxieties we get before we travel. Now, this one is something that you do during your planning. Plan, and it's something that I want to double back to on the anxieties of you coming back. And that is, make sure that within the time you are traveling, you've left yourself a few days upon return to be able to relax, to be able to calm yourself down. So that's something that I'll double back to on the anxieties you experience when you are returning. So let me know on some of the ways to address such anxieties that you get before you travel, if you are someone who has surely experienced something like that. Now, the anxieties of coming back. I remember the day before, I had to go shopping. I had to bring a few things back home. And I remember that whole day being just dull for me, because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe. First of all, I had really worked hard throughout the year. So this was my leave, and I wanted to stay away just for as long as possible. I was still enjoying my time away, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. So I remember when that last day, when tomorrow I have my flight, I kept on thinking to myself, oh my God, how am I going to deal with it? Oh my God, I'm going back. So even the whole planning was really just so dull. But the thing that helped me is, when I was thinking about coming back home, the fact that I had those few days, that I knew that once I go back home, I'll have a few days to myself. And then number two, this one is about the fact that you have enjoyed this vacation and you would want more, right? You want to enjoy more vacation days. So let that be the wind beneath your wings, something that will push you into the direction of saying, hey, you know what? Since I want to have another trip, I want to have another vacation, then let me take on this so that I'm able to enjoy myself next year. So that can be something to encourage you on the anxieties of coming back. The other thing that I used, as opposed to just coming back and falling back into the routine and schedule of things, how about upon return, how about you go to a hotel? Yeah. You know how when you are pulling off the bandage of the wound, like, I'm one person who says, go at it slowly, right? When it comes to travel, that is the kind of technique that I have. So what I used personally, I went to the bomber. When I returned from my flight, I asked the bomber, and of course, because you book a hotel, that means that you have the whole package all through. That means they will be able to pick you up. There will be a sign with your name, and then you get to feel important in your country. So upon return, first book yourself a hotel somewhere, so that when you check in, you first refresh, you get your mind together, you sleep yourself off, sleep off the jet lag, just relax, and then later on, for after a night or two, go back home, and that will help you ease up into your daily routine or into whatever it is that you have to do, and that will be the end of your vacation. So I hope that helps someone. That is the way you can handle the anxieties that come through regarding travel or even coming back home after your trip. Please subscribe, make this your place, comment, like, share. I have more content for you, especially regarding travel. But like I said, this is a space where I'm going to be sharing more about my life, the things that I'm passionate about. And of course, those are travel and so much more. My name is Virenji Stella. See you on the next one.